In the village of Gahmar in Ghazipur, a rivalry that had been simmering for months finally boiled over into a horrific triple murder. This is the story of that tragedy, and as we're about to see, it's one that could have and absolutely should have been prevented.
You know, when you really break it down, this entire story stands on three really grim pillars. First, you have this smoldering rivalry that everyone knew about but chose to ignore. Then, you have a police force whose negligence was like pouring gasoline on that fire. And the result of those two things? The devastating deaths of three young men.
And the human cost here was just immediate and so shocking. We're talking about Vicky Singh, Saurabh Singh, and Ankit Singh. 3 young men murdered on a single night. 3 lives just wiped out. So how did a simple evening turn into such a nightmare? Let's start with the inferno itself, that one fateful night back in late December of 2025. This timeline really shows you just how terrifyingly fast a celebration turned into an absolute massacre. At 8 p.m. on December 24th, these guys are just coming home from a birthday party. Think about that. Just 1 hour later, they're ambushed, and by 10 p.m., they had been brutally murdered with axes and choppers. It's just horrific.
But here's the thing you have to understand. This was not some random act of violence. Not at all. To really get why this happened, we've got to look at the smoldering embers, the deep, ugly roots of this rivalry. At the heart of it all was this deep, long-standing hatred between 2 different groups, 2 settlements, right there in Gahmar village. And the crucial part here, the part you can't forget, is that this wasn't some big secret. The local authorities, the police, they knew all about the tension.
This quote from the case files really puts it all into perspective. It says, "This rivalry was a fire that had been smoldering since the Dasera festival in October 2025. What does that tell you? It tells you there were bright, flashing red warning signs. A violent clash just 2 months before should have been the final wake-up call for an intervention, but it wasn't. In the immediate aftermath, the killers went to some pretty extreme lengths to try and hide what they'd done. They threw the bodies into a large village pond, hoping they'd just disappear. And while the bodies of Vicky and Saurabh Singh were found pretty quickly, there was this dawning, horrifying realization. One of the young men, Ankit Singh, was still missing. Well, this kicked off a massive, almost unbelievable search operation. So first, an initial search of the pond turns up nothing. What do they do next? They bring in these giant, high-capacity pumps. Their goal was to literally drain the entire pond. I mean, can you imagine? And it was only after that incredible effort that Ankit's body was finally found. Just let that sink in for a second. 6. It took 6 agonizing days for Ankit Singh's family to get that final, awful confirmation. His body was recovered on December 30th. What a truly grim end to a horrifying week. So what happens after a tragedy like this? Well, the story now shifts to the fallout, the negligence, and the desperate search for some kind of accountability. Okay, so police action did follow. The main accused, Singh, Aman Singh, and Arvinda Singh, were arrested, apparently after some police encounters. All told, out of the 12 people named as suspects, 5 of them were in custody pretty quickly. This chart gives us a really clear picture of the official response. So yeah, you've got the ongoing arrests, and they're talking about using the super strict National Security Act against the accused. But look at that middle row. The local station house officer and other police personnel were suspended or removed from their posts. That's a direct admission of negligence. It's the system itself saying we failed. We knew about the tension, and we didn't do enough to stop. And that really brings us to the final, critical question this case leaves us with. It's a question that goes way